It's Grandma and Grandpa. My name is Tiffany Andrews, and I'm going to inform you about the impact James Garfield had on American history. So imagine that you are at the Republican National Convention of 1880, and you're there to support a colleague of yours, and you're there just to give a speech to put your endorsement behind him. And after 35 rounds of ballots, there's still no agreement. Nobody can come to a consensus. So after 35 ballots, on the 36th ballot, your name comes up, and you're now the presidential nomination from the Republican Convention. You'll be running for president. That's not what you came for, but now you're going to be the nomination. James Garfield was the epitome of American success. He barely had a time in office. He was in office for 4 short months. However, he was in a time when the politics were full of recklessness, hostility, and corruption. But his life reflected genuine Christian values of integrity, courage, and kindness. We will see how the common man, James Garfield, could rise from abject poverty to become the most powerful man in America. He fought for equal rights. He attacked political corruption, and he wanted to leave his mark in American history. James Garfield was a self-made man. He was the common man's president. He was just like you and I. He was the youngest of 5 children, the widowed mother. After high school, he worked several jobs to put himself through college. Before college, he was a canal driver. He was a bell ringer, farm laborer. He even was a janitor. Put himself through college. He graduated from college. Then he went back to school. He wasn't happy with just staying put. He went back to college, got his law degree. He became a Christian minister, and he was a master scholar. He was a Civil War hero. He joined the Civil War when it broke out in 1861, and by 1863 he was a major general, until Lincoln asked him to resign because he was elected to the House of Representatives. After the House of Representatives, he was a 9-time Congress member, and then a future president of the American nation. James Garfield welcomed, as a presidential nominee, he welcomed people into his home. Not like today where you can't get close to the president. He would sometimes have hundreds of people at his house. His wife would come out and serve them cookies and drinks while he talked and answered questions and just got to know the people. That's why he got known to be the common man's president. James Garfield also was a civil rights activist. He was very passionate about this cause. The slaves were just recently emancipated under Lincoln, and he was ahead of his time in that matter. This was evident when, in a 1855 journal, James Garfield wrote, "At such hours as this, I feel like throwing the whole current of my life into opposing this giant evil. I am sometimes led to think that our people are not yet fit for liberty or even worthy of it." So that shows you he was very passionate about freeing the slaves. He was forceful, yet he was very widely respected. Election of 1880, I apologize for that. Civil rights here. In his inaugural address, he talked about the newly emancipated slaves, and he pledged his commitment to the case to recommend universal education, so that way the African Americans could go to school with the with the whites. He stated in his inaugural address, elevation of the Negro race from slavery to fulfill rights of the Constitution is the most fulfill rights of citizens is the most important political change we've known since the Constitution. So he was very passionate about that. He also, in his time of service, once he won the election, and appointed 4 African Americans to office, and that was unheard of. So he was passionate about giving them just as much of a chance as everybody else. He took on the nation's corrupt political system and was for the reform of the civil service, and he wanted to reestablish the presidency as an independent office. He took on the Senate nominations. He wanted the Senate to be nominated for merit-based and not based on your political affiliation or who you knew or who was a family member. So he wanted it to be fair. He started the work on the Pendleton Act, which put in stipulations the Pendleton Act of Service put in. He got started on it. He wasn't able to enact it. His successor, Chester Arthur, is the one that actually signed that into office after him. He was responsible for one of the nation's most corrupt political people to resign from the Congress because he would not back down. And that was Conkling, Roscoe Conkling. James Garfield was a reformer in the best sense of the word. He was an amazing president who did not believe in the spoil system. He wanted to make sure that everybody was appointed based on merit. He made a commitment to the slaves and had the values of integrity and compassion, raised by, again, a widowed mother, from poverty to the American president. It was Garfield's need, though, to clean up the politics that got him killed. He was going on a train and was shot by a disgruntled office seeker that he would not appoint to office. He was shot. 11 weeks later, he died. July 2nd, 1881 is when he was shot. 11 weeks later, he died due to infection because of the poor medical care that he received. And that is... James Garfield was an extraordinary president whose time in office was cut short. And had he had more time in office to actually serve his term, who knows where history would be today with the advancements that he had made. Thank you.